But yeah, with Street Fighter, I never really had the opportunity to put those hours in. But in terms of like the theory and stuff, yeah, like you can do that. But with the actual implementing, because that's the really cool thing. Like I like about fighting games. For me, that they are as close to actual combat sports as you can get, in that you have to put hours of drills in to get good. Like you have to actually train really hard to be good at these things. The same way you have to train really hard to be good at jiu-jitsu or kickboxing, boxing, whatever your discipline is. Like the only difference is you're not putting your body on the line to get hurt or tired or what have you. But other than that, it's really similar, and I like that. The people that are really good at this game deserve to be really good at this game in the long run, anyway.
Yeah, I've always made comparisons between the two, and then the big obvious flaw in the comparison would be that no one gets physically hurt, of course, but the training process is quite similar. Even the whole like you have to find different training partners is also as almost directly correlated.
Sparring, exactly that. Yeah. And stylistic matchups, wrestlers against kickboxers and all that stuff, and yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Zangief tells him. Bison Guile, Dudley who?
Dudley against anyone with a good low forward.
Give me a character, man.
Who does Dudley lose to?
How come I don't know this? Hold on. I have to really think about this. I haven't touched that game in a long time, man.
Dudley's a weird one, man. Yang. Dudley gets bodied by Yang. There you go.
What? Yang?
Mm-hmm.
But Yang has to do damage up close. Dudley can just fucking press some buttons.
No, because
I'm just talking on my ass. I really don't.
His buttons will whiff, and then you get hit by more Yang mantis slashes and die. So it's hard work.
It's like a momentum thing.
And Vega as well. Vega's hard work. But again, like with those characters, you hit them twice and they evaporate. So Dudley. That's why I like Dudley. Dudley's fun. Just pushing buttons.
Pressing buttons because you don't practice that much.
I just like pressing buttons. It's fun. Let's get back to Street Fighter 5 anyway. So obviously, we've been on Twitter this morning, and Justin was pretty disappointed by players that have had early access to the game entering tournaments and winning tournaments.
Ooh, please show me this tweet, or just give me a rundown of what he said then.
But yeah, it'll be on his timeline, so go and grab that. J Wong with 3 G's. Justin Wong. He said...
He must hate that, by the way. He fucking must hate that shit. Okay, was it a recent tweet? Must be. Let's see here.
About like 4 or 5 hours ago. So that's...
Not gonna lie, Mad Catz controllers ban the pirates. Down, more.
Of course, the Instagram brothers are in the finals for Mad Catz SF5 Open Tourney. He's referring to, of course, LPN and Grand Wolf.
You mean they took down the Instagram like John Jones, huh? Fucking passive aggressive shit right there.
Yeah, he seemed pretty.
Sounds like an Asian parent.
Frustrated.
Well. Wait, okay, well, I mean, what do you think? Do you honestly think Justin doesn't have any, cracked beta copies lying around his house mysteriously,
I guess he's been pretty adamant that he hasn't been playing the game. This instance.
The age-old, argument of, Japan gets the game first, or they're, so fortunate that they have that arcades are still thriving in Japan.
It does make a difference. It does make a difference. And I think one of the reasons why everyone's getting so worked up about people having early access to the game is the Pro Tour. Because if it was just, you're good for the first 3 months and then we're all going to catch up. And, we're all going to go to Evo in July and, we're all heading for that. Then that would be fine because, it would probably balance out, I guess, over time. But final round is, around the corner.
In March?
Yeah,
March?
so You know, people are going to be going to final round that have been playing Street Fighter Five every day for like 3 or 4 months, and there's a guaranteed Premier qualification spot there for the Pro Tour finals. So it's an issue for people, I guess. Now we know that now Japanese pro players have got final copies of the game as well.
That's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact. Finished disc copies of the game. So even I think Markman, someone said Markman came on stream and confirmed that Daigo was playing the game now. So that I read that. So I didn't hear that myself, but I read that.
I mean, like, okay, yes, especially in the hands. Okay, well, maybe pro players are the exception, but that doesn't really matter in this argument. But it's a generalization that, like, let's say, for example, Japanese got Street Fighter 4 a couple of months beforehand. If that's the case, and let's use that as an example. I mean, what are we saying, that they don't have skills or something just because they have the game earlier? Like, you're gonna catch up.
I think the issue is
this might just affect the Pro Tour. This is like a unique situation because the Pro Tour exists now, right?
That's why it's actually an issue. If it wasn't for the Pro Tour, everyone would be like, oh, whatever, like. It would be fun to sort of like see these guys then become like the heels of the FGC, and they've got targets on them. So like, everyone in NorCal that we know has been playing the game early. We just get hyped to see them losing tournaments, and like it becomes fun, and it's a bit of drama for the FGC, and it adds to that sort of the human interest side of combat sports, where you build a story up, and you're like, okay, well, we want to see these guys lose because we know they've had an unfair advantage. Whereas now it actually makes a difference in terms of money and qualifying for the finals and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, well, that's not fun. Like, it's not a fun thing. It's an unfair thing. A lot of the pro players feel that way. So,
like if the beta was, I mean, I have no confirmation because I've never played the final version of the game, but I think it's safe to assume that there's no way that they're gonna like change the system overall, so the advantage that they definitely do have is that they have more time to get used to how the game works, which is a big part of just figuring out how to play a game in the first place.
Exactly.
I can't just go into, like, let's say Second Impact, Street Fighter 3 Second Impact. I've never played the game before. I have to learn how the game works, but now a good number of people have that advantage, you would say. So I mean, it's a new thing that we have to deal with in this generation of games, fighting games.
Yeah, it is definitely, and like the whole thing of like, oh, it's a new game, and like everyone's going to get reset, and we're back, and it's kind of like wiped that out, that sense of.
Are you saying that's kind of gone now?
I think so. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I think that was one of the big things that we had where it didn't get an arcade release. It's like, oh, great. So we're going to see now how good we are actually against the Japanese and Asian players, because they're not going to have the game for 6 months to a year before we ever see it at all, apart from maybe like 2 arcade cabinets like you have with Tekken situation, like, or with Guilty Gear, for example. Those games that the Asian players get such a lead in on. And they did really get a lead on Street Fighter 4 because you guys had that in the arcade for a long while before we saw it in large numbers. Like, yeah, there were arcade machines scattered around, but arcades are definitely not what they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. So the number of people that had access to arcades is much lower.
I mean, like, I can't really say that. Now that I really think about it, this generation has like a unique situation, because I remember when Civis 2 came out, the arcade release and the Dreamcast release, especially the did you ever play? Oh, no, okay, you played Street Fighter 4 as your first game. That's right. They had you had to use this like weird technique to get a copied version of the game, and you'd have to like stick a bunch of shit inside the Dreamcast in order to get to work. But if you were able to do that, if you had the skills at that time, because there was no like YouTube or anything.
Oh, I had like copied Dreamcast games, yeah.
Yeah. But this is like even before that. This is like before the game was okay. That's what I'm thinking of. The game came out first in Japan, Japan's Dreamcast. So the guys that had the advantage in the American scene were the guys that were able to get copies of that and play those copies on the American Dreamcast. Yeah. So I mean, there's always people that are going to have advantage. Is kind of what my point is. You know,
Yeah,
you
I
can
mean
never.
that it's a fact that that advantage erodes over time. You know, like early access is only makes so much difference depending on how much time, depending on the quality of your community and who you're playing with and all that crap, and the amount of time that you play the game as well. Because if someone has the game early and they're playing 3 hours a day, but you're playing 8 hours a day, eventually you'll sort of catch up, right?
Yeah.
But as I said, I'm going back to the original point. It makes a difference in this situation because there's early tournaments that give guaranteed spots to the final where you're going to play for $120,000. And I'm sure a number of people that are trying to do this as a career, that's going to piss them off. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit that I didn't really think of it. I didn't really think about, let's say, the NorCal situation. I didn't really think of that in terms of cheating until you kind of brought it up, and then it's kind of no surprise if you really put things together that they won yesterday, right?
Yeah. I mean,
but I mean, I also know that they have more stuff.
I should damn well hope that they like if they didn't win yesterday, that would have been seriously embarrassing. Like, imagine you play the game for 2 months every day and you go to a tournament and you don't win, like and you're playing people that have hardly had any time with the game. That would be embarrassing, man. That would be very, very embarrassing.